Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahabashai, Bahashem Chakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. This lesson, Lord willing, is edifying and to the point. Is just going to be going into never trusting thine enemy, which um, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who who are Israelites, which are called a byword, you have enemies, and your main enemy is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And throughout history, this man has dealt treacherously with the nations, with Israel. And I just wanted to go into just one treaty real quick. And yeah, Lord willing, this is edifying. So this is Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. So it says never trust the enemy. That means at all times, don't give him the benefit of the doubt, whatever. Just know, never. This man has proved himself repeatedly, over and over again, that he is your enemy. Sirach 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So just iron is going to rust. When it's exposed to air, water, it's going to rust. It's just what it does. It's the composition of it. Like the wicked, Esau, Edom. He can't do right. He is the border of wickedness. Is that Malachi 1 and 4? He is the wicked. I might get that real quick. This is Malachi chapter 1 and verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh have indignation forever. So these are the people known as the wicked. They can't do right. They can't. Righteousness is not in them. And this is just a quick Wikipedia page. It says the list of United States treaties, because the U.S. is known through its military might and its diplomacy and its pretty much the economic system that it has. But this is when I just scroll down this is the U.S. and Native American treaties. This is all the treaties that the U.S. has made with, the so-called Native Americans here, which will be mostly Gad and Reuben. It says from 1778 to 1871, the United States government entered into more than 500 treaties with the Native American tribes. All these treaties have since been violated in some way or outright broken by the U.S. government, with Native Americans and First Nations peoples still fighting for their treaty rights in federal courts and at the United Nations. So, hey, they're never gonna get treated fairly. They're never gonna be seen as a sovereign nation. Hey, as long as your enemy's ruling over you, it's never gonna happen. But it says here, it entered into more than 500 treaties with the Native American tribes. And all of these treaties have since been violated in some way or outright broken. So what should that tell you? That should tell you not to trust this man. Not to, somebody that's repeatedly breaking promises, you know, repeatedly stealing from you. Like you don't trust him. But the way this man has deceived everyone by one way is through Christianity, how he has that saying "turn the other cheek" and whatnot, and his portrayal of how he puts Jesus Christ up there for forgiveness. He can do all this evil to you, and he's put it in your mind. You have to forgive him. I'm gonna keep stabbing you in the back, but you got to forgive me. What is that? I think there's a folk tale or something like that about a frog that gives a scorpion a ride across the river, and midway through the river, the scorpion stings the frog and kills it. And the frog is like, "Why?" And it's like, "Man, it's a scorpion. This is what it does. This is what I do, baby." But this is that man. This is the wicked. You're gonna trust him. You're gonna put him by you. This is what he's gonna do. And I'm just gonna jump down. I'm gonna jump down to this one. This is called the Treaty of Fort Pitt, which was signed in September 1778, and it says a treaty with the Delawares. So I'm gonna go to this. It says the Treaty of Fort Pitt, also known as the Treaty with the Delawares or the Delaware Treaty or the Fourth Treaty of Pittsburgh, was signed on September 17th, 1778, and was the first formal treaty between the United States of America and any American Indians, in this case the Lenape, which Salaki, I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. So if that's how you pronounce it, cool. But who were called Delaware by American settlers, although many informal treaties had been held with Native Americans during the American Revolution from 1775 to 1783. The first one that resulted in a formal document was signed at Fort Pitt, Pennsylvania, now the site of downtown Pittsburgh. It was essentially a treaty of military alliance between the Lenape Nation and the United States. So here's a picture of the treaty here, which they have this in a museum, which, that's cool. And the background of it is in 1778, the Continental Army started to contemplate an expedition against the British to the west of the Appalachian Mountains, in particular at Detroit. For that end, the Patriots had to march through the Ohio Valley where the Lenape tribes resided, and decided to negotiate a formal treaty to secure free passage. So originally, they had what was called the Continental Army. They were wanting to go up against the British that was still in different territories in the U.S. And so they had to make a deal with the Lenape so they can have free. Basically, they just wanted to get free passage. So the commissioners arrived and they initiated. They had it signed. And so here's the actual details of the treaty. The treaty gave the United States permission to travel through the Lenape territory and called Lenape to afford American troops whatever aid they might require in their war against Great Britain, including participation of Lenape warriors. So they had Jake fighting with them against the British. The United States was planning to attack the British force at Detroit, and the Lenape assistance was essential for success. In exchange, the United States promised articles of clothing, utensils, implements of war to build a fort in Delaware County for the better security of the old men and women and children, whilst their warriors are engaged against a common enemy. Although not part of the signed treaty, the commissioners pointed out that the American alliance with France and intended that the Lenape would become active allies in the war against the British. The possibility of creation of a new Native American state was discussed. So they're buttering them up with this thing. There might be you might be a part of the U.S. You're gonna have your own Native American state. You're gonna have all this and that, and we're gonna build stuff to protect your women and children. The treaty also recognized that the Lenapes as a sovereign nation, guaranteed their territorial rights, and even encouraged the other Ohio Country Indian tribes friendly to the United States to form a state headed by the Lenapes with representation in the Continental Congress. So buttering them up, lying to them. The extraordinary measure had little chance of success, and some suggest that the authors of the treaty were knowingly dishonest and deceitful. See, that's Esau right there, because they knew they weren't going to do that. They weren't going to keep any of their promises. I think I'm gonna take a precept real quick. This is Psalms 52, and I'm gonna start at verse 1 because these Edomites here to this day they brag about this stuff. They brag about how they've got this country. They say they were at war. Oh, it was like we got the country through war, fair and square and stuff like this. No, you lied. You used deceit. All like deception. All these things. You didn't win a war fair and square. There's no way that you could go up against uh, Jake, the so-called Native Americans. There's no way that you could go up just one-on-one with Gad and Reuben. No way. And they say it's a skill issue. They're bragging, but they're constantly talking shit. This is Psalms 52 and 1. Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? It's mocking. Why are you boasting in this mischief? Don't you know what's going to happen in the end of this? Don't you know? Hey, you're going down, Esau. The goodness of the Most High endureth continually. Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, like a sharp razor working deceitfully. And his tongue, he's constantly devising wickedness, evil. And his tongue is like a sword. His tongue is a sword. Thou lovest evil more than good, lying rather than to speak righteousness. Salah. Let me go back because there's another. I don't remember exactly how. But hey, Lord willing will come to me because there was another precept, but I can't remember it right now. So I'm gonna go back to this. So they knowingly lied to them. The implementation, according to Daniel K. Richter, and facing east from Indian country, the Lenape received the agreement merely as free passage. So they were only looking at it like, oh, yeah, all they want to do is just pass through here. But meanwhile, you know, they're eyeing everything. This is the thief. If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some gleaning, some grapes? If it, how that scripture goes. But hey, this man took everything. He took the whole country where they're only uh they're only left to a few reservations here now. The Lenape received the agreement merely as free passage of revolutionary troops and the building of a protective fort to defend white settlers. And that term white didn't come around until the 1680s. The American leaders intended to use the fort for offensive campaigns and wrote into the treaty that the Lenape would attack their native neighbors. Within a year, hold on, did I read that right? The Lenape perceived the agreement merely as free passage of revolutionary troops and the building of a protected fort to defend white settlers. So they only saw it as them making them giving them free passage to pass through to the Ohio Valley, and then to defend the so-called white settlers whenever anything would happen, because there's a fort there. The American leaders intended to use the fort for offensive campaigns, so the Americans are looking at it different. They're looking at, hey, we're going to use this as an offense point. War is continually in his heart, and wrote into the treaty that the Lenape would attack their native neighbors. So hey, they're putting in there that, hey, we're gonna have these people attack these other natives. Within a year, the Lenape were expressing grievances about the treaty. White Eyes, the tribe's most outspoken ally of the United States, allegedly died of smallpox. Allegedly. It's also showing you the receipt. However, since he already had smallpox in the past, it was believed that he was killed by the American militiamen near Detroit, according to George Morgan. And see, that's all throughout their history, that bloody history. And it's never trust an enemy. A Lenape delegation visited Philadelphia in 1779 to explain its dissatisfaction to the Continental Congress, but nothing changed, and the peaceful relations between the United States and the Lenape nation collapsed, and the tribes soon joined the British in the war against the American revolutionaries. And the Naden-Hutton massacre in 1782 destroyed the remaining goodwill. And it's showing you, do not trust this man. Let me go back to that Sirach. This is Sirach chapter 12, and I'm starting at verse 10 again. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And you read just from that one treaty, and it said there was over 500 treaties that the U.S. signed with the so-called Native Americans. And you think it said they broke every one of them? What makes you think, hey, this time is going to be different? Verse 11, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. And look, hey, just a year. It was only a year. They lost the person that trusted them them Edomites the most. They killed him. They took their land. Hey, and then the Lenape were both in a. They ended up switching sides and siding with the British, which they were both Edomites. So it's like you still trusting your enemy. Hey, but this is how it was written to be. Esau Edom was supposed to take this land, and so it could in the coming days be judged with them ICBMs and Yahweh's chariot fire. Set him not, verse 12, Sirach 12 and 12, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. So this is what happened. Now look, all the land, they were in Delaware, or known as the Delawares. They had the whole country. And now where are they? They got pushed all the way. I think the one I read about the I think his name was Captain Pipe. Anyway, they got pushed. They got pushed out of that whole area into reservations. Set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Hey, this is what's happened. He's taken the place of the Native Americans. He's taken everybody's seat. This is Micah chapter 2 and 2. I'm going to start at verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. So they knew them Edomites. They knew back then that they weren't going to help them. They knew right off the bat, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna make them promises or whatever, and then we're gonna take them. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. So they covet fields. Look at the whole U.S. They took that by violence. All the treaties they broke, the backstabbings, all this. This is 1 out of 500. 1 out of an innumerable multitude of things, of different types of treachery this man has put out. They've even oppressed this man's heritage. He doesn't even know. One, he doesn't know he's an Israelite. Like part of my family, they're natives. They don't even know. They think they're black. Now we're oppressed to be Americans. We're just all Americans. All this that we're all one people now. Can we just get along? Micah chapter 2 and verse 3. Therefore thus saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for the time is evil. Hey, and that evil is coming. Hey, them ICBM destruction, that's coming. Uh, this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, his philosophies. He's got the whole world drunk off his philosophies, his different, the ABC agenda, everything that he's doing. It's all nonsense. He's a proud man. And you can see it on him, how he speaks. Oh, we got this nation fair and square. Oh, skill issue. Hey, just move on. Oh, you were never in slavery. Hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Hey, even his symbols for the nation are proud. He uses the eagle. It's a proud animal. It's got a proud look. Neither keepeth at home. Hey, his home was in Mount Seir, in Petra, in Edom. Now look at him. He's spread all across the world. His wickedness is spread all over. Who enlargeth his desire as hell, and not the red pitchfork hell, and is as deaf and cannot be satisfied. Hey, this man wants everything. He's a glutton, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And this is what this man is doing today. It has all the nations coming here. Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. His money system, everything. He's stolen his land. He's tricked the people with his monetary system. How long? And to him that, so woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that thick clay is Ibadyat, which means heavy debts. This nation is trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars in debt. And these nations are fed up with this. Verse 7, shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them. Hey, in these last days, the Israelites are waking up, and we're telling you who you are. And all these other nations, the heathen nations that have ICBMs, hey, they're all going to shoot their nations on Babylon the Great, or shoot their arrows, the ICBMs on Babylon the Great. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. Because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and all that therein. And all the nations that you spoiled, even, is that Psalms 149? Hey, we're gonna have you Edomites in chains, and eventually y'all are gonna be burnt up, and y'all are gonna pay for everything that y'all have done to the Israelites and to the world. But once again, this was never trust thine enemy. So I'm gonna say Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of your elect. Shalom.